1. The Whistler by the Lake. During my 3rd summer working at Camp Red Pine in Minnesota, I had the late-night shift supervising the boys' cabins near the lake. Around 2 a.m., I took a flashlight and went for a quiet walk along the dock. The moon was out, reflecting off the water like glass. Everything was silent. Then I heard it. A low, drawn-out whistle coming from across the lake. At first, I thought it was another counselor playing a prank. But the whistle came again. The same exact tune. 4 slow notes. Then silence. A few seconds later, it came again. Closer this time. I turned and started walking back up the trail toward the cabins. Then I heard the sound of water splashing, like something wading through the shallows. I spun around, shone my flashlight toward the dock, but there was nothing there. The whistling stopped. The next morning, one of the younger campers came up to me, pale as a sheet. He said someone stood outside his window during the night, whistling the same tune. When I told another counselor about it, she went quiet. Said a kid drowned in the lake in the 80s. Camp legend says he whistles to lure people down to the water. 2. When the lights go out. I was hired as a junior counselor at a camp in upstate New York. The place was old school. No phones, no internet. Just cabins, trails, and creaky wooden buildings from the 1960s. I was assigned to Cabin 6, which the other staff jokingly called the cursed cabin. The kids kept complaining about noises at night, scratching under the beds, and something tapping on the windows, even though we were deep in the woods. One night, one of my campers, a nervous kid named Evan, came to my bunk crying. He said someone was inside the cabin after lights out. I did a full check. Everyone was accounted for. No doors had opened. But the back window? It was unlocked. I swore I had locked it before bed. 2 nights later, Evan was gone. Just gone. We searched the entire camp and eventually found him sitting by the campfire pit in the dark, muttering about a man with no eyes who kept whispering his name from under the floor. That was my last summer at that camp. A few years later, I found an old news clipping online. A counselor had gone missing from that same cabin in 1991. They never found his body. 3. The Reflection in the Mess Hall. In 2016, I worked as a counselor at a Christian overnight camp in Colorado. One of our duties was cleaning up the mess hall after the kids went to sleep. The building had massive floor-to-ceiling windows that reflected the inside like mirrors when it was dark out. One night, while wiping down tables with another counselor, I saw something strange in the reflection, a figure standing behind us. I spun around. No one was there. When I looked back at the window, the figure was gone. The other counselor laughed it off, saying my brain was playing tricks. But every night after that, I started catching glimpses of that same figure in the window reflections, always standing in the same spot, always facing us. One night, I stayed late alone to finish up. While stacking chairs, I heard a knock on the window. Not a branch, not an animal. A knock. I looked and saw the silhouette of a tall man in the reflection. But when I turned around, the mess hall was empty. I didn't finish stacking the chairs. The camp has since replaced those windows, but people still say the old mess hall was cursed. I believe them. 4. The Tunnel Under the Fire Pit. This happened at a smaller camp in northern Oregon that was built on old logging land. During orientation, one of the senior counselors mentioned a tunnel system that used to run under the camp. Something the loggers built for storing tools. We all thought it was just camp lore. Midway through the summer, a few campers claimed they saw someone crawling out of the ground near the fire pit late at night. I brushed it off. Probably a prank or their imaginations running wild. Then one night, I stayed behind after lights out to clean up. I passed the fire pit and noticed something weird. One of the large stones that ringed the fire was out of place, like it had been moved. Beneath it was a dark hole, maybe 2 feet wide. I knelt down with my flashlight. The hole went deeper than it should have. Far deeper. Suddenly I heard something scraping, like fingernails on metal. Then something breathed, right below me. I shoved the rock back in place and ran. The next morning, the stone was back in its original position like nothing had happened. I asked around. One of the senior staff said the tunnel system really did exist, and it had been sealed off after a kid vanished down there in the 70s. No one ever found him. 5. The new counselor. My last year working as a camp counselor was at a private nature camp in Vermont. Beautiful place, but it had some weird rules. One of them was never let campers out after 9 p.m. No exceptions. Another, do not engage with staff you don't recognize. Always check the roster. The first week went fine, but then the kids started talking about a new counselor, a tall man with a red flannel shirt and a crooked smile. They said he only showed up at night and told them scary stories by the woods. Problem was, we didn't have any male counselors matching that description. No one by that name on the roster. No one had seen him during staff hours. I sat one of the older kids down and asked what this counselor looked like. The kid got real quiet and said, "He looks like someone wearing a person's face." I reported it immediately. The head staff took it seriously. We doubled up patrols. For the rest of the season, we didn't let any camper go anywhere alone. That camp shut down permanently the following summer after a camper disappeared during a night hike. They found his shoes near the forest edge and a flannel shirt tangled in the branches. If you ever worked as a camp counselor or even just attended summer camp, you know how weird things can get when you're miles from civilization. These stories may sound like legends, but they came from real people who still can't explain what they saw. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more real horror stories. Sleep tight.